Sunday, this is this massive pile of laundry I have right here. It's probably been like 5 days since I did laundry last. And if I had to pick one chore to get rid of completely forever in my entire life, it would be laundry, because I hate it. On a more positive note, James has been begging to go to church this week. We have yet to make the switch from nursery over to Sunbeams. Almost 3, so technically he is in that range where he could.
Despite her attempts to present herself as a changed person, the internet hasn't forgotten why Nurse Hannah was cancelled in the first place. She switched up her content, posting vlogs about being a mother of 2 and working night shifts as a nurse. But if her engagement is anything to go by, people aren't buying it. The comment sections are filled with questions about accountability, skepticism about her ever-changing job history, and reminders of the scandals that got her here. She's already been turned down by multiple employers before landing her current job, and let's be real.
Just know how much he loves nursery. For those of you that are in the church, it's basically just where you can drop your kids off and it's like play with toys, sing songs, have snacks, all that kind of stuff. And if I'm correct here, it is 18 months to about 2.5, 3 years old. James will be 3 in July, which is honestly just crazy to me. He loves going to.
Who knows how long that will last? This whole rebrand feels more like a performance than a real transformation. But is it enough to make people forget? A noticeable shift in her content is how she no longer features her children, especially her eldest son, James, who was once a major part of her brand. Many accused her of exploiting him for views, and now, suddenly, he's nowhere to be seen. Instead, her videos focus on daily routines, delivered in a much calmer, more polished way. Her tone is softer, her edits are cleaner.
Playing in the nursery, loves just playing with new toys, singing songs, and just playing with friends. Every single day he begs to go to the park and play with friends. The other day we went to the park and there was a group of probably 12-year-olds. And James was so excited because he said that there were friends over there. Unfortunately, I had to tell them that no, those friends were a little too big for him. I don't think the bunch of
And she's carefully crafting the image of a mother who has it all together. But is that reality, or just another carefully curated social media illusion? Another interesting change is her sudden embrace of religious imagery. She frequently posts faith-based content, plays gospel music in the background of her videos, and goes out of her way to emphasize how she never missed paying her tithes, even when she was unemployed. She's publicly shared how she had to cut back on household expenses, but somehow, she always made sure to give money to the church.
Following them around the park. Anyways, happy Sunday. So RIP to my sad little boiled egg. I need to never make boiled eggs ever again because these turned out really gross and rubbery. I had to resort to a protein shake instead. The goal today is to get both boys to nap at the same exact time so I can take a nap.
This kind of overt display raises an important question. Does she genuinely see this as a path to redemption, or is it just another way to shield herself from criticism? One of the most glaring red flags in her rebrand is how she's completely avoided addressing her past controversies. While some influencers attempt to regain public trust by acknowledging their mistakes, Hannah has taken the opposite approach, erasing all traces of backlash, blocking anyone who brings it up, and rewriting her history as if the internet doesn't remember. But the internet never forgets, and neither do the people who witnessed her behavior firsthand. The fact that she refuses to acknowledge her past only fuels skepticism about her so-called transformation.
Rebrand. I'm sure you guys remember Nurse Hannah, the 17 diapers mom, and the mom that refused to buy her son a coat in the literal -degree weather. Nurse Hannah used to post about her nursing job, and all she ever.
When someone's response to controversy is to run from it instead of owning up to it, that says everything about their true intentions. Let's not forget, this is the same nurse who built a following by mocking her patients, complaining about night shifts, and even making fun of dementia patients. She tried to pass it off as humor, claiming she was just being relatable, but in reality, she was exposing her own lack of empathy. And the most shocking part, she still holds a nursing license.
About the patients that she had throughout the day, or just throughout her shift in general, she literally always talked negatively about her job and her patients. She also used to post day in the life videos with her kids and her husband, and it always just looked like she hated.
Despite having an open case related to child maltreatment, her insensitivity towards patients was alarming. She openly rolled her eyes, sighed dramatically, and acted as if taking care of sick people was some kind of personal burden rather than, the actual job she signed up for. Then there was the infamous video where she laughed at dementia patients, making fun of their confusion and behavioral struggles. Medical professionals are expected to uphold ethical standards, but Hannah displayed a shocking level of disregard for the vulnerable people in her care. To her, they weren't real patients. They were just content for her social media amusement.
Her eyes and always looking irritated. And her husband were actually literally canceled because they posted a video of them going grocery shopping, and the husband handed something to the son, and the son flinched really hard. And now when you go to her page...
And if that wasn't bad enough, she also spread dangerous misinformation about medical care. In one of her worst takes, she told pregnant women that prenatal care wasn't necessary and that simply eating healthy was enough. She even claimed that with her own kids, she only saw a doctor in the 3rd trimester, suggesting that earlier checkups were unnecessary. Imagine how many people might have taken her seriously, thinking they were getting medical advice from a professional. The fact that she delivered this misinformation with so much confidence made it even worse. It was as if she truly believed she knew better than established medical guidelines.
Different person. You can literally see the drastic change in her content. It just gives really fake vibes, and people obviously are not going to forget about the shit that she used to post. And I just feel like no matter how much you change your content, you are literally the same person. And the fact that she's never addressed anything tells a whole lot.
Hannah's refusal to acknowledge or take responsibility for these actions makes her rebrand even more unsettling. Instead of addressing the harm she's caused, she's tried to wipe the slate clean and pretend it never happened. If she genuinely wanted to change, wouldn't she have at least issued an apology? Instead, she chose to delete, deflect, and act like none of it ever occurred. But for those who paid attention, the damage was already done. And it's not just her professional life that's concerning. Her parenting choices have raised eyebrows too.
I'm a busy working mom and I work really long shifts, and so trying to stay fit and healthy is kind of hard sometimes. My number one tip is never skipping breakfast and always taking my lunch breaks, because it's really hard to take care of other people when I'm not taking care of myself. Remembering to fuel throughout the day is so important. After I came home from work, I was still pretty full for my lunch.
She's admitted to leaving her children in wet diapers for extended periods, only changing them when they were really full. Diapers would pile up around her house. Hygiene was clearly not a priority, and her approach to childcare seemed neglectful at best. Bathing was inconsistent. Meal times seemed optional depending on her mood, and the overall environment in her home appeared chaotic. There were deeply unsettling instances of mistreatment that people simply couldn't ignore. Locking her son in a room because he was acting out, eating a full meal in front of him while denying him food.
Parents branch while my husband made dinner. And lately my favorite thing ever is tracking my food in my Nutrimont app. Nutrimont is an AI food tracking app. All I do is snap a picture of my dinner and boom, it's right there, all logged and ready to go. Seriously makes tracking your food so easy. And then after dinner, we went on a pretty long family walk. The weather out here has been so nice, and just getting outside is so important. Tonight I was kind of craving some ice cream, but instead of ice cream, I made a protein shake. Oh, it's all about balance, right?
And physically pushing his tiny hands away when he reached for something to eat. These weren't just bad parenting moments. They painted a disturbing picture of neglect. Then there was the infamous chair pulling incident, where she deliberately moved the chair just as he was about to sit, causing him to crash onto the floor. Instead of reacting with concern, she laughed as if it were a joke, displaying a chilling lack of empathy. One of the most infuriating moments for viewers was when she refused to buy him a $35 jacket in freezing weather.
Nurse Hannah is a changed woman. She's a changed woman. Everybody remembers 17 diapers, okay? Nurse Hannah, the mother on here that would post nurse content, always talking crap about her patient.
Dismissing it as an unnecessary expense for a toddler's coat. Yet, at the same time, she had no issue splurging on expensive takeout, vacations, and other luxuries for herself. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Her child seemed to be treated as an inconvenience rather than a priority. But the most unsettling question remains. If this is what she felt comfortable showing online, what was happening behind closed doors? How many times was he left crying without comfort, hungry without food, or cold without proper clothing?
And then she started posting content about a day in the life, and she always just looked miserable, always rolling her eyes. She just never looked happy. You could see it. And then her and her husband literally get canceled because she
These concerns eventually led to an open police investigation for child mistreatment. But what became of that case? No one knows. Authorities were involved, but the public never received any real answers. Instead of addressing it, she quietly packed up her life and moved to a different state, hoping that time would erase people's memories. But instead of fading into obscurity, her past continues to haunt her. One major red flag in this so-called rebrand is the extreme censorship in her comment section. Despite some of her videos reaching over 100,000 views, only a handful of comments remain visible, and they're overwhelmingly positive.
Yo, TikTok, where they are grocery shopping and the husband goes to hand the little boy something and he flinches really hard. So they get canceled. She goes quiet for a few months. Okay. Well, Nurse Hannah is back. Okay. 17 Diapers mom is back with her rebrand.
Are we really supposed to believe that the internet suddenly forgave and forgot? Or is she just aggressively deleting any criticism? Hannah knows better than anyone that the internet never truly forgets. But rather than facing the past, she's doing everything she can to erase it. This goes beyond just deleting a few harsh comments. She's actively blocking users who bring up her past, reporting accounts that try to resurface old controversies, and even shadow banning certain keywords from appearing in discussions about her. She wants to maintain a clean slate.
It's not even like the same person. Like I think there is something seriously wrong if she actually thinks just changing up her content is gonna make everything okay now. If you haven't checked her new content out, make sure you go check it.
But in doing so, she's only making it more obvious how desperate she is to control the narrative. But here's the real question. How long can she keep this up? The more she tries to silence criticism, the more people remember why they questioned her in the first place. Instead of making the backlash go away, her attempts at censorship only fuel the controversy further. The internet has seen this pattern before. People who try to rewrite their history rarely succeed. Instead of fading into the background, they become cautionary tales of how not to handle a scandal. So, is this rebrand real? Or is it just another carefully crafted performance? Has Hannah genuinely changed? Or is this all about burying her past and manipulating public perception? And more importantly, does this rebrand actually ensure the safety and well-being of her child? Or are there still deeper concerns lurking beneath the surface? Accountability matters, and so far, Hannah has provided none. Can she really claim to have changed without taking responsibility for the damage she caused? Or is this just another attempt to regain social standing while ignoring the harm that was done? Let's keep the conversation going. What are your thoughts? Should the internet continue to hold her accountable, or is it time to move on? And that's a wrap on today's video. What do you think? Does this rebrand feel authentic, or is it all just a clever facade? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay updated on more stories like this, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.